Welcome to the Kent Lapp Podcast.
We researched this for a long time. There was a trial at Duke. It's still going on. And at the time, all of our friends from the Brown Center applied. We applied. They're doing a clinical trial on embryonic stem cells, fetal stem cells. I think it's called mesenchymal stem cells. And they're putting them in the body and just letting them, a lot of kids have seen like phenomenal results and just healing like underlying issues and inflammation and that kind of thing.
So you guys applied.
We applied. Everyone I knew applied. Everyone I knew got in except for us. And it was heartbreaking. It was devastating.
I thought you said you did get in.
We did not get into Duke. So
okay.
So Duke has been doing this trial for, I don't even know how long now. It's been several years. It's still ongoing, and they're trying to get it FDA approved, but they're basing their trial off of a clinic in Panama that's doing the same thing. And you can go to Panama. Anyone can go. You've got to get approved, but like you pay. Mm-hmm. The clinical trial was free, so we were obviously like hoping we could do that, and we didn't get in. And we tried a couple different times, and it never panned out. So we waited and we prayed about it, and we went back and forth, and eventually, I don't know what, we just decided like, okay, we're in a place where we raised the money to do it. So let's give it a shot. And I think Big Chase, he really, really, like that was one thing. He gets behind anything that I put out there. I mean, I do the bulk of the research. I've got the time and I'm always throwing ideas out. And this is one of those things that he just like really, really latched onto and wanted to try.
Oh, really? Okay.
And, I didn't see any harm in it. And I had read, that it's better to have some of the underlying conditions take like Lyme or any kind of viral load or anything like that. It's better to have those things under control before doing it. And I kind of felt like we had tried to get all that under control. So we did it. I think, at first we didn't see anything. We did that in November of 2018. No, 2017. Hold on. It's all running together.
Was it before you said he got real sick in February of 18? Was it before that? Okay.
2017 we went. Gosh, it feels like it was yesterday we went, and that's hard to believe.
Well, it basically was. Time's going so fast now.
So
after 25, everything's just a white blur.
I know. I'm like... So yeah, we did that in November and then didn't really see a whole lot, but they say that they can live in your body for up to a year and they just kind of like gradually take time to, work. But then he started getting really sick in February of 2018. So we didn't really know what was happening and it kept going on. He started with strep and then it was flu and it was like back-to-back things. And looking back, I think it was like his immune system doing a 180 and all these things that have been suppressed because that was another thing. After he got his last vaccine, he like never got sick again. It was like his immune system just stopped and went into like autoimmune mode. And he never got sick. He never hardly had a fever. He hardly had a runny nose. Like he just was not sick. Wow. And now he was like and it was like all these things that were just like had been suppressed were coming up. And so even on labs, like he initially tested positive for strep and flu. So we did the antibiotics and he still kept being sick and like fever and like lethargic and couldn't get off the couch. We kept going back to the emergency room. They were running all these labs. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. His mono labs were fine. But then we finally called in a friend, like a really close family friend who does muscle testing. And she was able to determine that it was in fact Epstein-Barr virus, but it wasn't an acute mono infection. It was more of a chronic EBV that was coming up. So that's when we tried the homeopathic protocol. And it was like days within starting that protocol that he turned a corner.
Really?
And it had been like 2 months of him like laying on the couch. He lost like 12 to 15 pounds. I mean, he was a skeleton. It was so scary.
Oh, wow. And he's, at this point, what is he, 6, 7 years old?
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So back to the stem cells.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to Panama.
We did. The country.
Yep. And you had to pay for this out of pocket or insurance out of pocket?
It's like $23,000.
Really? That's what I was going to ask, is how much it was.
Yep.
And do you got to go back down there a few times, or is it one trip and you're done?
So it was a week.
Okay.
We went down. They did some like pre-lab work the first day, and then it was like 3 or 4 days of injections, 1 day of follow-up, and then you go home.
And what is it? What are these injections?
Mesenchymal stem cells from embryos or cord blood. Sorry, cord blood.
Okay. From
healthy pregnancies. So they're very careful to say, like, we do not take aborted placentas or stem cells or fetuses. Like they use cord blood and placenta from healthy pregnancies.
You say cord blood?
Mm-hmm.
Like umbilical
cord blood.
So they get this blood from the umbilical cord of a pregnant mother?
Mm-hmm.
And
after they've given birth.
Okay. I don't know anything about this.
Oh, really?
So, no, I don't. So they're after healthy stem cells to then put into someone who may have some unhealthy stem cells?
So, I mean, there's a lot of different stem cell treatments out there. They can take adipose stem cells from like fat tissue, or they can take like stem cells from bone marrow. But cord blood stem cells are like the most pure, like best working stem cells because they have not been assigned to anything. So they're just like pure, unassigned stem cells. So they don't even have like a blood type. You don't have to be a blood match.
Oh, fascinating.
And they do stem cell transplants for like cancer patients and different things like that. Or like they inject them into joints for athletes and stuff like that. So this is basically just like he was getting injections just into his arm intravenously. And the goal is that they go wherever the body needs them, wherever the most inflammation is, they go and kind of replenish and take over the unhealthy cells.
Oh, fascinating. That's similar to, I was watching a documentary, I think it was, or maybe it was a news article, but where they were taking moving stem cells from a healthy person into people that had this awful skin disease. I forget what it was called, but basically your skin would just feel like you were on fire everywhere. Just awful. And much the same. Yeah, they'd have it going into the arm. It'd be like hooked up to the IVs, but it had something to do with stem cells or DNA, and the new DNA would come in and basically just start like healing all of the DNA that was just messed up just a little bit. It's so intricate and fascinating. It's way above my head. But there was like these people with the skin disease would have DNAs that would just sort of mutate a little bit, and then they'd introduce this new DNA, and it would like heal. Like these people were just like getting healed.
I mean, there's some miraculous stories if you start looking.
With autism?
Yeah, I mean, just in another element. I mean, we have another good family friend from Jackson who went to Panama. He's an older gentleman, like our parents' age, and he just was having like degenerative joint pain, and he went and he ended up staying for 2 rounds of treatment and has never felt better in his life. I mean,
really?
It's taken away like all of his joint pain and physical ailments.
You mentioned specifically that it didn't come from like aborted babies or anything like that. Is that because some stem cell procedures do come from aborted babies or something?
I just think there's always like a taboo, like, I mean, obviously like they have standards that they want to uphold, and don't want to support that. So, I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't know that for sure, but
yeah,
I know they make a point to say that they do test where they come from, and that they make a point to say that they are from healthy deliveries.
I see. So did you see a change in Chase then? I mean, obviously he got sick, but did you see an improvement overall? from
Overall,
that?
now, I mean, I think his body responds to illnesses in a more typical way. You know, he'll get a fever, or he'll, like he didn't sweat. He didn't he never his body was not getting rid of toxins. You sweat to get stuff out, and he didn't sweat for a long time.
Wow.
Just different things like that.
So you guys are glad you did that, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think we have a peace knowing that it's one more thing we tried.
Right.
Just to make sure we're covering all our bases.